Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, okay, look. Let's go through this again. Duct tape, turpentine, and a cheese log. Set it to 12. Make sure it's all dry. Yeah, yeah, okay. Yeah, I love you too, Mother. Yeah, okay, I'll see you at the wake. Yes, hail Satan. Okay, yeah, I will wear the tiara. I know, family heirloom, all that kind of stuff, right? Okay, bye. Freaking crazy religious people. Not even my mother. Water. It's somewhat important. Without it, you have this generally avoided tendency to stop living. Now, since I've set up here in Tickville, people have been asking me, John Ludi, how do you drink? To which I usually respond, well, with my mouth, of course. And then, when I've sufficiently recovered from the subsequent kick to the groin, I then extrapolate further, but usually without props. These are props. 3 bottles, serving different purposes. Gathering, treating, drinking. So, to extrapolate, this is a PET bottle. PET stands for something I cannot pronounce. But what it is a bottle that will not leach BHPs, which stands for something I can neither remember or pronounce, into the water. BHPs are a bad sort of thing. So the way that you can tell that a plastic bottle is PET is that it has a little triangle made of arrows with a little 1 in the side of it. And what I do is I go to my stream. I was lucky enough to buy a piece of property with a stream on it with very clear water. The source is, it's a spring-fed stream. The source is about a mile away. And incredibly clear water. Would I drink directly from it? No. I'm not that kind of crazy. Because deer drink out of it. And raccoons. And squirrels. And ferrets. And fruit bats. Whatever. I mean, things drink out of it. And since these creatures are not particularly concerned with hygiene, neither am I guess, but that's besides the point. They tend to defecate and do other things in the water. So, would I drink out of it directly? Not if I was starving. So what I do is I bring the water back with me, and I rough filter it for sand and sediment and mosquito larvae, using just basically a strainer and a coffee filter and a funnel. And I put it into a second bottle. Now, this is an important thing, and I want to say this without any levity whatsoever. I'm going to say a very important word to you. It's an acronym. It's SODIS, S-O-D-I-S, which stands for something I can't remember. But it's very important, and I want to say that SODIS, S-O-D-I-S, Google it, or Yahoo it, if that's your preference, and it will give you, the first link will be to the SODIS website. Now, I should mention I am in no way affiliated with the people who came up with this. I just think it's a brilliant idea. SODIS is a method of taking water and purifying it of various microorganisms, protozoa, giardia, cryptosporidium, things like that, that can give you an unpleasant experience and kill you. Now, essentially what the method is to use PET bottles and put the water in the bottles and let it sit out in the healing rays of the sun in full sunlight for about 6 hours. And what that will do is kill off all those microorganisms. I strongly recommend you look that up because it might save your life someday. Now, what does John Ludi do with the water after he's done that? Now, we'll come back to that. You might think that you were looking at the latest in breast implant technology, but you would be wrong. This is actually a gravity water filter. This is a gravity water filter that I purchased from a company called homespunenvironmental.com. I have no affiliation with them whatsoever either. But their URL, I think, is homespunenvironmental.com. And I picked it up because I was looking at the Berkey, and I wondered if there were any alternatives to it, and it just by fortunate happenstance and timing, on one of the forums that I'm a member on, Silent Country, Sustainable Country, Hubbard's Arms, Tinfoil Palace, one of them, had mentioned this delightful little thing, so I checked it out, read the specs. I would like to thank whoever posted it, can't remember who it was, sorry, and thought, this reads well, because this thing, it can last about 6 to 8 months doing about 15 gallons a day. And that's pretty impressive because, once you do the math, for $16.75 a piece plus shipping, it comes to, practically nothing for a gallon of water. Certainly beats buying bottled water from the store and contributing to the plastic problem that we have in the world today. So, basically what I did, because the Berkey, I was looking for an alternative. It's a fantastic system, and someday when I grow up, I might buy one. But I don't have a lot of room to play with here in the yurt. So I figured I'd come up with something a little bit lower profile, smaller. And that's it. Basically, I found this BHP-free PET little water dispenser jug, and this pitcher sitting on top of it, I just drilled a hole in the bottom, and it's August 9th, 10th, something like that, and probably want to take a look at this. Hopefully this will turn out. You can see the difference between the one that I haven't used and the one that I have used. So there's a clear and present reason for me to actually filter the water further. There's all kinds of guck in it. Might be nutritious guck, I'm not sure, but it's guck anyway, and I don't want to drink it. So I am basically using this, because of the smaller amount, the smaller capacity, it takes a lot longer for water to come through. So I get maybe, for drinking water, I do this pretty much exclusively for my drinking water. I get maybe about, I can probably get about 2.5, 3 gallons a day, which is more than I need for all my cooking and coffee and drinking purposes. So that's what I do for that. Now for showering water and dishwashing water, what I do is I basically, for the showering water, I take the SODIS, purely, freshly treated SODIS water, and, just dump it on myself. And for the dishwashing water, what I do is I put it in different jugs with a little bit of bleach in it to keep it from putrefying. That's basically it. Now what I'm going to do after this is I'm going to show you a bunch of different ways of treating the water even further, because I'm paranoid about what I put into my body, so I'm probably unduly cautious, but I'll show you some of the other toys that I have. Well, hello again. We've already been through this thing, our friend the gravity filter. Now, you might think that we're not going to go there. This is what is called a SteriPen. This is a fantastic little tool, and what this does is it basically, this is a UV light, and what it does when you insert it into a glass of water and stir it about, it will sterilize that water with more helpful UV light. The bulb eventually has to be replaced. I think this goes about 1,000 cycles. Then you have to replace the bulb. I use this on the water that I specifically am going to be drinking straight, because again, I'm paranoid. I'm probably overdoing it, but you can never be too careful. Water that I make coffee with or do cooking with, I don't use this. So this is strictly for drinking water. This I don't really use unless I'm actually out, in the bush, traveling around. But this is a Katadyn. This little model here is discontinued, but this will do about 2,000 gallons of water, which is pretty impressive. And it's a good, reputable company. This I carry with me everywhere I go, and I strongly recommend that you do the same. This is just a filter straw. It's really cheap. I think this thing cost me about $8-9. Why the hell not? This, in theory, will filter for you 20 gallons of water, and that can be the difference between life and death. And, for $8-9, why not? A company called Frontier makes this one, but I think there's several out there on the market. This is a little bottle of, I think it's like tetraglycine hyperiodine, something or other. It's iodine. It's basically another method of sterilizing water. It's something that I personally don't use, but it's out there. Bleach is another one. These two, I'm not crazy about putting those substances inside my body, but it will kill off microorganisms. Do the homework. Do the research. I want to give you one caveat to all of this. I'm not responsible for what you do. So go online, do your research from reputable sources, and don't screw up. And if you do, don't blame me. What happens to you is not my problem. I'm just telling you what I do. So one thing that should be noted about all of these different things in front of me, grid. All of these methods rely on our currently existing grid of production and distribution. That's a little tenuous in these times. So you have a choice, potentially, of buying a ton of these, or that, or that, or that, or that. Or finding methods of treating your water that don't necessarily rely on these things. Now, the SODIS method is one particular method that could be, in a totally off-grid scenario, used. It's one of the reasons I use it. The only grid is involved is getting, the plastic bottles, but those things are plastic, probably last thousands of years. So that is potentially something that could be exclusively used in an off-grid scenario, and if all these things vanished tomorrow, I would probably take the brave step of drinking the guck. But these things exist, so I do utilize them. And that's about it. I want to, keep this as short as I can, because it takes forever to upload these things. So that's it. If you see any problems with what I've presented here, if you know of additional means of treating water that are relatively inexpensive for people, feel free to make a comment on this video. And I thank you for watching, and be well.